tickets to David, but you'll now have access to every single film or TV series on Angel at your convenience.
I know you don't like to talk about yourself that much, but just describe for a guy who almost walked away from coaching, was going to be in corporate America, in his second season, you now have a Lombardi trophy in your hand. Coaching, was going to be in corporate America, in his second season, you now have a Lombardi trophy in your hand. What does this moment mean?
I believe God called me to be a coach, and I listened to him, and I thank him. And we are incredibly blessed to be Seahawks, to be 12s, and now we're world champions.
Yeah, look, I'm a pastor's daughter, and it has been so refreshing to see so many people boldly proclaim their faith, especially over the past year. And I like to call this the Charlie Kirk effect. I think of something that Vice President J.D. Vance said shortly after Kirk's assassination, where he said he had never been so inspired to boldly share his faith as he had after that event. And I think many other people of faith, especially Christians, feel that way right now. And I do think we have Charlie Kirk to thank for that.
Towns, let's crank it up and get it on. We fly and rain, white, blue, high, waving all across the land. We got them good times on us, no worries on the can. Everything's made in the USA, and on your heart when the song gets played. When the gloves come on, we find out where you stand. It's real American. Started, so we're ready to roll. It's the best of the best, playing chess with American muscle. We fly that red, white, blue, waving all across the land. Got the good times on us, no worries on the can. Everything's made in the USA, and on your heart when the song gets played. When the gloves come on, we find out where you stand. It's real American. We find that red, white, blue, high, waving all across the land. We got them good times on us, and no glory's on the can. Everything's made in the USA, and on your heart when the song gets played. When the gloves come on, we find out where you stand. That's real American. That's real American. That's real American. Yeah.
I want to honor God in all that I do. I want to be a great husband, a great father. I want to serve this country. I want to try to continue to lead this movement and to speak truth and to never lie. To stop thinking about yourself all the time and instead think about what you should do to help other people and to defend this country above yourself.
I'm so inspired. This army of freedom fighters, we're going to be around for the next 100, 200 years because we know in the end our ideas will win.
God should be the most important thing in your life. But then beyond that, it's getting married, having children, building families.
My kids are my most important thing in my world. My wife and my kids and our relationship with God, the top three things.
And the more often that you choose the deep, the difficult, but the right path over the easy path is one that will reward you, your family, and this beautiful nation.
Charlie Kirk Show.
Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with this Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Most people know the biblical story of David, the shepherd boy who fought Goliath and became king. Well, Angel Studios has created a new animated film called David that tells the story of Israel's greatest king.
There's a light I've always followed when I'm looking for the way, when I'm searching for the answer, in the moments I'm afraid. There's a whisper in the wind, and a story in the sky, when I'm looking for a lantern to illuminate the night. If you want the secret of freedom and feeling alive, you gotta follow the light. Follow the light.
For those who love great animated classics like The Lion King and Prince of Egypt, David is an awe-inspiring animated musical that depicts David as a spirited boy who fought lions, giants, and even betrayal, depicting how one boy's faith could lead him to be king of Israel. David will be released in theaters just in time for Christmas on December 19th, but your family can get a head start by watching the prequel to the film, Young David, which is streaming exclusively right now.
Every day, there's a battle for your mind raging. Information coming from every angle with the will to deceive. Fear not. You found the place for truth. The voice of a generation that still has the will to believe in the greatest country in the history of the world. This is the Charlie Kirk Show. Buckle up. Here we go.
All right, welcome to the Charlie Kirk Show. It is February 10th, 2026. We're here at the Bitcoin.com studios in Phoenix, Arizona. Honored to be with you guys as always. Blake, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
It's been an interesting news cycle. There's like 3 hearings going on in Congress right now. There's also a trial in Los Angeles that we're keeping our eyes on. It looks like Meta, Google are presenting their case that they say they haven't been addicting young people to social media. Turns out there's a lot of data that would suggest that they have been doing that. Also, Todd Lyons from ICE is testifying before Congress, and he's absolutely schooling Eric Swalwell on the 5-year-old hoax story. But I want to lead with a really, really fascinating wrinkle that has just emerged in the Epstein documents saga. Yesterday evening, newly unsealed court documents show that Donald Trump called the Palm Beach police chief about Jeffrey Epstein in 2006. So this is before he was ever arrested for pedophilia or for sex trafficking minors.
Yeah, or, well, we should be precise about what it is, because we don't have
you described
that phone call. What we have is...
we have a police report.
We have in 2019, not even that, we have in 2019, the FBI interviewed Michael Ryder, who had been the Palm Beach police chief at that time, and he apparently told, and this is even blacked out of the documents, but the Miami Herald is reporting it was this guy, and he spoke with the FBI and then told them that this is how it unfolded. So there is a chain here. This is from the memory, the recounting of the then Palm Beach police chief, but he does say that in July 2006, so that's just when Epstein is coming under investigation, I think before he's even been indicted, Trump calls Palm Beach police, and he basically tells them, yeah, you guys should investigate this guy. He's a creep. He's disgusting. But Ghislaine Maxwell is the really, he calls her evil. He says she's the evil one and is doing bad stuff. And he says people in Miami know about it and people in New York know about it. And it doesn't seem like he gave them anything specific, but that he was encouraging them to look further into it.
Yeah, because everybody knows. He said that everybody knows what he's been doing. So this is pick 322. The image displays a page of redacted testimony or statements related to Jeffrey Epstein mentioning interactions with Donald Trump and Ghislaine Maxwell. Trump was one of the very first person, as revealed by this document. Again, it was from 2019. It was a recollection of the 2006 interaction with President Trump. That Trump was one of the very first people to call when people found out that they were investigating Epstein in 2006. President Trump is quoted as saying he threw Epstein out of his club, called the police, and people in New York knew Epstein was, quote unquote, disgusting. Sounds like President Trump.
Yeah.
It's one of his favorite words.
That's like right around when he was going. He would do this Rosie O'Donnell. He would like attack her on Entertainment Tonight.
Yep.
Like, Rosie O'Donnell is disgusting.
Yeah.
She's a slob. She talks like a truck driver.
Trump also reportedly stated that Maxwell was Epstein's operative and quote unquote evil, advising to focus on her. So here's image 323. Palm Beach Country Club, this is a quote from it, is a Jewish country club. A lot of wealthy people are there, and they flock together. Mar-a-Lago is a mixture of everyone. Donald Trump told Redacted that he threw Epstein out of his club. Trump called the Palm Beach Police Department to tell him, thank goodness you're stopping him. Everyone has known he's been doing this, end quote. So that's the first part. Now, yesterday, we also got video from Ghislaine Maxwell pleading the fifth again and again and again before it was Comer and Andy Biggs. So that was we've got this clip here. It's worth showing just for fun here, because it's interesting seeing them in their native habitat. You know what I mean? It's fascinating. What clip is that, guys? All right, 327. Go ahead and throw it up.
Ms. Maxwell, were you a close friend and confidant of Jeffrey Epstein?
I would like to answer your question, but on the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer this question and any related questions. My habeas petition is pending in the Southern District of New York. I therefore invoke my right to silence under the Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution.
Let the record reflect that Ms. Maxwell has invoked the Fifth Amendment against self-incrimination.
So Chairman Comer confirms this, 326.
As expected, Ghislaine Maxwell took the fifth and refused to answer any questions. This obviously is very disappointing. We had many questions to ask about the crimes she and Epstein committed, as well as questions about potential co-conspirators.
But it looks like this little game of negotiation that's going on behind the scenes with the lawyers. Rep. Andy Biggs, who's running for governor here in the great state of Arizona and is going to be the next governor of the great state of Arizona, said that Maxwell's lawyer, quote, said that she has no indication, and would say so, that neither Presidents Trump or Clinton are culpable of any wrongdoing. And that's one thing they said in this opening statement. So Comer said that Maxwell's attorney said she would, quote, answer questions if she were granted clemency by the president. So horse trading going on behind the scenes.
That's tough because when you make it that obvious, like certainly if, just from the political calculation, regardless of what actually happened, if that's the deal, unfortunately, anyone who's sold on there being wrongdoing is not going to buy that because they'll just say basically she sold that story in return for a pardon.
Correct.
Which makes it very tough regardless of what truly happened.
Yeah, but you know what's great here is you've got these newly unearthed documents from the FBI, from the Palm Beach police chief, saying that Trump was calling him, you know, warning about evil, disgusting Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell in 2006.
Which is funny because Trump, a thing that's worthy of note is in 2019, President Trump was saying he had no knowledge of anything Epstein was doing. And so you do wonder what caused him to frame it that way. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe it was like he just didn't want people to think he was a narc or something.
Well, I will tell you, I mean, Palm Beach, if anybody knows the Palm Beach area, it's like high school for rich people. They're all talking. They all know. They all hear the rumor mill. And so it's possible that President Trump just didn't have direct evidence or direct knowledge. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
of it,
he might have meant it that way.
He had heard all of the stuff that was going on, wanted them to step in. Also, President Trump has been very clear about this. You know, I think Virginia Giuffre was working at Mar-a-Lago, I think in the spa there or whatever, and Jeffrey Epstein poached her from his club. He didn't like that. And I think he was trying to do that a lot of times with more staff than just Virginia. And so, listen, if you're a business owner and another business is trying to keep, you know, poaching your staff, you don't like that. And you're going to put your foot down on it. So I do think some of it was sort of a business-related thing. Some of it was rumor mill. This guy's disgusting. And it seems to be that Epstein held on to this grudge for years and kept trying to
He's mentioned thousands of times in the files in one form or another, but he doesn't pop up the way others are where they're emailing Epstein all of the time. He's just this peripheral figure. And I think a very real phenomenon is, honestly, I suspect that Epstein himself probably believed that Donald Trump might have been the guy who essentially ratted him out to police, like may have been the guy who brought him down.
Well, and then he runs for president in 2016, 2015, 2016, becomes uber important and famous. Jeffrey Epstein then becomes even more fixated on him, wants to know how he can get him, how he can take him down, and kind of,
I
talks
just think
crap behind his back.
I think it's just so funny that obviously President Trump took a lot of heat for, he was skeptical of saying, we don't need to release more of this stuff. It's going to tag a lot of people. And it caused all these people to say, oh, well, the president is hiding something. He's the pedo president. And then they finally, they dig in and they get this release. And, it's this previously unreported report of President Trump calling the police on
in 2006.
He truly is the cleanest man ever when you think of the amount of effort to bring him down and what they ultimately find, whether it's business or whether it's this.
And I just want you guys in the audience to marvel in one thing. The left is losing their mind about this revelation. They hate this. So it's a good day. It's a good day when the left's upset. But we'll be right back.
Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with this Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Most people know the biblical story of David, the shepherd boy who fought Goliath and became king. Well, Angel Studios has created a new animated film called David that tells the story of Israel's greatest king.
There's a light I've always followed when I'm looking for the way, when I'm searching for the answer. In the moments I'm afraid, there's a whisper in the wind and a story in the sky. When I'm looking for a lantern to illuminate the night. If you want the secret of freedom and feeling alive, you gotta follow the light. Follow the light.
For those who love great animated classics like The Lion King and Prince of Egypt, David is an awe-inspiring animated musical that depicts David as a spirited boy who fought lions, giants, and even betrayal, depicting how one boy's faith could lead him to be king of Israel. David will be released in theaters just in time for Christmas on December 19th, but your family can get a head start by watching the prequel to the film, Young David, which is streaming exclusively right now on Angel. It's perfect for the entire family and has memorable music. So once you join the Angel Guild, you can start watching Young David right now and prepare the fam for the David film in theaters in December. And by joining the Guild, you'll guarantee 2 free tickets to see it. And it's a great value. Let's be honest, going to the movies isn't all that cheap. But if you're a member of the Angel Guild, not only do you get those 2 free tickets to David, but you'll now have access to every single film or TV series on Angel at your convenience anytime. So just go to angel.com/Rav and join there.
Hey folks, it's your friend John Rich. I co-founded Old Glory Bank because we heard too many stories about people getting canceled by their bank because they didn't agree with their politics. The government wanted to know where you shop. If you bought a Bible or you shopped at a sporting goods store, you're probably on a list. We created Old Glory Bank because America needed a bank that would protect their privacy and security. Exercising your constitutional rights is not a criminal activity, and neither is loving your country. At Old Glory Bank, we stand with you.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
About a year in prison.
We were prosecuted, persecuted.
J6ers have been treated like terrorists.
And we need your help.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
For just $10 or more, you can help these patriots.
All right. Hi, folks. I want to tell you about our good friends over at YRefi. That's YREFY.com. You've probably heard me talking about YRefi for some time now. We are all in with these guys, completely all in. And, what's great is that they're all in with us. They help sponsor so much of the work that we do on college and high school campuses. But if you are somebody you know or love is struggling with private student loan debt, take my advice, give them a call or log in at yrefi.com. Maybe you're behind on your payments. Maybe you're even in default on your private student loans. You don't have to live in this nightmare anymore. Just give them a call. They will provide you with a custom loan payment based on your ability to pay. Hear me again. Based on your ability to pay. YRefi will provide you custom loan payment based on your ability to pay. They tailor each loan individually, and they can save you thousands of dollars. And you can get your life back. That's the key. Don't be depressed. Don't be, God forbid, suicidal that you are not able to get ahead financially. Just go to YRefi. They'll save you money. They can get your life back and get you on a payment plan that works for your life right now. All right, yrefi.com. That's Y, the letter Y, then refi.com. And they don't care what your credit score is. That's a key point. You can even skip a payment every 6 months up to 12 times without penalty. So, again, go to yrefi.com and tell them your friend Andrew at the Charlie Kirk Show sent you. Check them out, guys. They're amazing people. Really, really good people. All right. So, listen, this whole Jeffrey Epstein thing is a big, huge, giant story because we all sort of sense that children are being abused. We all sort of sense that children are being taken advantage of. They're being sexualized at a younger age. They're getting online. By the way, we go back to this Meta Google hearing that's happening in California today. There was a huge story that broke where these pedos, these perps were soliciting minors on these platforms on Meta, so Facebook, Instagram. They were doing it kind of in open sight. So these sites have been used for distribution of child pornography. It's a huge, actual problem. And you can look at Hollywood, the way that they glorify the sexualization of young people. I mean, we all kind of sense that this is happening. I think sometimes it gets sensationalized, but there is a real problem here. Go ahead, Blake. I see the wheels turning.
It's just, it's bad, although, no, I mean, it is bad. There's a lot of bad stuff. I still feel... you know me, I lean more towards our guest last week.
Jay Beecher.
Yes, Beecher, who I do feel like we have, I think this Trump thing is revealing, which is that the president was basically correct. He was warning a lot of people are going to be smeared by what comes out in these files when there's not going to be a lot of evidence against them. And so far that's been borne out. What's come out of these files has been interesting. It's been really embarrassing for some people. It's been embarrassing for Bill Gates. It's been embarrassing for Larry Summers. It's been very embarrassing for Noam Chomsky, which I'm very happy about because he's a deranged left-wing academic. But it hasn't been really revealing of, I think, what a lot of people were hyping that would get revealed by this.
Yeah. You and I were very much in agreement on that it was going to be underwhelming for people.
Yeah.
There's a lot of crazy stuff in the Epstein files, by the way. And you might see one person covering it and making a huge deal about it. And then you'll go and look deeper and you realize that it's been debunked, or it's some rando emailing Jeffrey Epstein about a dead body buried in the desert. But it literally, there's no FBI investigation. There's no nothing. There's no. So literally, and we can attest to this. We get so many crazy emails at freedom@charliekirk.com. The craziest stuff. It doesn't mean it's true. It doesn't mean that there's any, veracity to it, but people will email sometimes crazy things. So anyways, the point is you got to take everything with a grain of salt. You got to dig deep. You got to do your own research. But another person that is in these files is Elon Musk. And that was a little bit embarrassing. And we're fans of Elon. We want Elon to support the heck out of our GOP going into the midterms. But, he kind of framed it that he was rebuffing Epstein's advances to him.
A lot of people have done this, and then, it's in the files, and it's basically, it's the classic thing. He's like, when are you having a wild party? I want to go to it.
But he did want to go with his wife.
He did.
He was going with his wife at the time.
And even if he didn't, it's in a lot of the emails, what they're saying is like, oh, there will be women under 25 there. Well, a lot of rich people want to get with women under the age of 25, and that is different from literal pedophilia.
Yeah,
it behooves me to mention that.
It behooves you to mention. It's
gross. It's like it's unseemly. But it is legal.
It's dirty old man stuff.
Yeah, dirty old man stuff.
But listen, here would be my one note to our good friend Elon, is that there is a porn problem and a child porn problem on X. I think what would be a great outcome from all of this is that you would clean up, just ban porn, and everything gets about 100 times better on that site. Just ban it, because there is garbage on that. There's been numerous reporting on the fact that there is child porn on that site. And if they want examples of this, like, we can have a whole team send you what you need, because it's gross. And you have to sort of, like, the filters don't really work that well. But listen, like, there has to be some sort of cleanup on aisle 5 here when it comes to these social media platforms. And I think X should get cleaned up, honestly. I think it would be a much better platform if they got rid of that stuff. For some reason, it's still on there. It's got a bot problem, sure.
Probably
it's
makes
got a lot
money.
Of them. Well, and it's just not worth it. Don't make a deal with the devil.
No, it's
you
not.
got to clean it up, make the site better, get rid of the porn, get rid of and you know, again, this is from reports. Thank goodness I haven't seen it, but the reports say that there is child porn on that site, and that's despicable. And I think all resources need to be flooded into X, make it clean, make it better. And then you get to be on the right side of this issue in multiple different ways.
It would be helpful, because in Europe right now, I know they're making a push to ban X. It's a very real one. And it's the real reason they want to do it is because it has free speech on it. And so they want to ban people who oppose mass immigration, who highlight grooming gangs by, Muslim rapists and all of that. But they seize excuses for it. And to some extent, a lot, like in the UK, they're using the fact that, like, you can use Grok to change people's photos so that they're in a bikini, which frankly I think Grok should be allowed to do, because you can already do that with a Photoshop editor, and it's also, like, not illegal to do that with, like, in a bunch of other ways. But it would probably be easier, if you couldn't use it to make actual smut. It would make that attack harder to do.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and listen, I just want to be clear. This is not an attack on Elon. I think he inherited this problem. The problem was pre-existed, and it's a massive platform with hundreds of millions of users on it. There's going to be a lot of bad actors. But if you put your foot forward and you draw a line in the sand and say, hey, this needs to be cleaned up, then listen, you're going to generate a lot of goodwill, and the platform will be much improved. So that is my request. I think it would be a very, very solid step in the right direction. Okay, next up. Very excited about this. So bar owner bar manager in Tampa went viral yesterday in a video for standing up to a deranged lunatic who didn't like that the Turning Point USA halftime show was on the TVs at the bar. We have him next. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll be right back.
At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now. From powerhouse vocalist Natasha Owens, known for standout singles like Trump One and Somali Waltz, comes her brand new release, The Boss, released on Real America's Music. This is the direct response to Bruce Springsteen's recent release, The Streets of Minneapolis. While Springsteen once branded himself as a voice of the working class, The Boss gives a voice to everyday Americans and reminds listeners who truly shapes the future. The Real America's Voice audience has the power to move charts and shake the industry. Download it right now. Scan the QR code or search The Boss on iTunes. Push it up the charts. Make them notice.
Hello, this is Kurt. Why do I love Rav? If you ever talk to the hosts, you can do that on Rav. And the Rav family, they'll talk back to you too. Let you know what's going on. Take care.
My name is Phoebe, and I live in Florida. I love Real America's Voice. They truly speak for the people, and that's what real patriotism is all about.
Hi, this is Becky from the Florida Panhandle, and I love watching Real America's Voice for the programming, the hosts, and my Rad Chat family.
Bates here with your Real America's Voice news break. We appreciate you being here with us. The White House is likely bracing for an avalanche of questions about the Jeffrey Epstein case. This, as Representatives Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna appear ready to name names of at least 6 people who they say are, quote, likely incriminated in the Justice Department's latest Jeffrey Epstein document dump. The names surfaced after the congressman reviewed unredacted versions of the documents, while the lawmakers are on record saying that they want to give the DOJ more time to unredact files. They are also prepared to share the names on the House floor. If they do move forward with outing the potential suspects whose names are in those documents, they'd be protected under the House's speech and debate clause, which provides lawmakers immunity from civil or criminal liability. In the meantime, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick getting the side eye this morning after acknowledging that he met with Jeffrey Epstein twice following Epstein's 2008 conviction for soliciting prostitution from a child. During a hearing on Capitol Hill today, Democrats sought to tie Lutnick to the disgraced child sex trafficker. The Commerce Secretary, on the other hand, clearing up any confusion.
Under no circumstances is there a single word that I've done anything remotely wrong in any possible regard. I did not have anything you could call a relationship, anything you could call an acquaintance. I literally met him 3 times over 14 years with widespread in between. That's all I can remember. That's all there is in the documents. I didn't look through the documents with any fear whatsoever because I know and my wife knows that I have done absolutely nothing wrong.
Again, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt will likely have to answer some pretty significant questions about that issue. She's set to host a press briefing at the White House in short order. Once that happens, of course, we'll take you to the podium. We will have live coverage for you the moment she does, in fact, take the podium. President Trump's scheduled meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu tomorrow, though, at the White House will likely also be a key issue that she's going to have to address. The two leaders will likely discuss a path forward when it comes to Iran, among other things. We'll have live coverage of that press briefing the moment it happens.
Relentless in spirit. You're listening to The Charlie Kirk Show.
All right, guys, I want to tell you about one of our great partners, Strong Cell. No, that's not where you put Kamala Harris.
It should be.
It maybe should be, but it's a very similar name. That's all. StrongCell.com. That is strong, C-E-L-L, like the cells in your body, or where you put traitorous politicians in. Anyways, So if you've been listening to this show for any amount of time, you will have heard about it because Charlie used to talk about it all the time, and he loved it. Strong Cell developed a proprietary delivery mechanism of something called NADH. NADH is a very powerful enzyme that basically is the power source for every cell in your body. And it used to be that you would have to go into a clinic or something and get an IV to get it directly into your cells because the body's stomach usually destroys it. But they have figured out how to do it without an IV. So you just take a little capsule. We did it the other day on the show. Massive, massive improvement in energy level. If you have brain fog, if you struggle with word recall, all those kind of things, you can improve that dramatically with Strong Cell. And here's the deal. If it doesn't work for you, that doesn't matter either because you have a risk-free 90-day money-back guarantee. That's right, 90-day money-back guarantee. So you can try this 4, 6, 7, 8 weeks. If it doesn't work, send it back, you get your money back, okay? So just go to strongcell.com, use promo code CHARLIE, CHARLIE, to save 20% off at checkout. 20% off at checkout. Strongcell.com, 90-day money-back guarantee, NADH, all the things. Beautiful, beautiful product. I take it every day. All right. Very excited about this next guest. Frankie Bianco. He's the general manager of the Zoo Sports Club in Tampa, Florida. And he went viral, not by any choice of his, but just because of the way he handled himself. I thought it was brilliant. Let's play the clip, and then we'll bring in Frankie. 307.
Why aren't you playing Bad Bunny at the halftime show?
Because I put this halftime show on. Because this is what the majority... If you filming me,
I'm filming you. Why are you doing that? Why don't you play Bad Bunny?
Because the majority...
I'm going to pay.
Get out.
I'm going to pay first.
Luke, this is why.
I got to pay.
This is why I said no.
I got to pay first. But I'm asking a question. I'm not being violent. Yeah, I got to pay first. I shouldn't pay.
What's your time on here?
For the full experience. I came here for the Super Bowl experience. The full Super Bowl experience.
This is the halftime show.
This is not the halftime show.
It is the halftime show.
No, this is not.
It's called the halftime show.
I'm going to put this on my social media.
There you go, baby.
Good.
All right?
There you go. There's your tag. You
might lose a lot of customers because you might look like a racist. All right? You might look like a racist.
So do you.
Came here for the Super Bowl experience. This is not part of the Super Bowl.
So don't come back.
This was not promoted.
So don't come back.
Well handled. Well handled. Frankie Bianco, general manager of the Zoo Sports Club. Welcome to the Charlie Kirk Show. Good to have you.
Thank you for having me, guys. I'm honored to be here.
Well, I'm sorry that you had to go through this experience. But, you know, to me, when I see that clip, it was like capitalism in action. You know, you were just like, hey, our people want this show. What do you want me to do? Tell us what happened there and why you chose to handle it the way you did, sir.
Okay. Thank you again, really, for giving me this opportunity. I really do appreciate it because I honestly can't believe that it's to this point so quickly, and it's silly to me. But honestly, I can't tell you what happened Sunday without telling you from the very beginning about who we are. The Zoo Sports Club started out as the Zoo Private Club. We were going to be a private members-only club. It was designed that way, and we built our systems and the building and the decor all around that business model. But in September of 2024, we had back-to-back hurricanes hit here in the Tampa-St. Pete area for the first time in decades, and it wiped out our beaches. It wiped out what is very, very important to those who live here. Too many lives were negatively impacted. And we started hearing from those people. We started hearing from restaurant and bar employees who didn't have a job. We started hearing from the bands that didn't have a place to play. We started hearing from the community that they didn't have a place to go, to gather, to meet, and to just enjoy and have fun. So we, as a group, myself and the owners, met and decided that we were going to pivot, a 90-degree turn, and open up to the community. Offer them everything that we have planned on being a private club. Now we're going to be a open to the public club. We're going to give them an opportunity to come in and play pool or throw some darts or watch some of the incredible local bands And it didn't take long for us to realize that this was the right decision, that we have formed a really great community-based establishment for everybody to come in and enjoy. There were no rules to who can come in. There were only rules on how to act once you're there. And it's worked out very well, and we're very proud of what we built. So that brings us to Sunday, where, again, it wasn't a political decision. It wasn't a personal decision. My personal beliefs and political side of the aisle I sit on had nothing to do with any of the decisions I make at work. It wasn't left or right. It wasn't red or blue. It was green. It was money. And I had about 250 people in the club, and around 240 some odd wanted the All-American halftime show. So that's what I put on. The gentleman who videoed me, there was a friend of his with him, and once he walked away, the friend came over to me to continue to try to talk to me about it. And I explained to him, I said, when it comes to business, the simple rule is majority rules, the needs of the many, so to speak. He understood. He shook my hand. He went back to his seat at the bar and enjoyed the rest of the evening. So, business is business. And that's what I base my decisions on when I run my club.
I think that's really well said, Frankie. And so you're just basically saying, so we had this private club. A lot of those people are still your core customers. They made a decision. They said the vast majority, it sounded like 95, 98% of them were like, hey, we want to watch. We want to watch the All-American halftime show. So you gave the people what they wanted, but there was a few, riffraff in there that wanted to cause a stir. And this is what it's, so this was a business decision. That makes perfect sense to me. You're being a good capitalist. You're serving your customers well. And I also like the way that you handled that. You said, don't film me, which is just such a rude thing to do in this day and age, that people got their cell phones out and they want to make you internet famous in a bad way. But I think, you're going to be rewarded. One, because of the way you handled this. You haven't been petty. You handled it like a gentleman. You were strong and firm. He was rude. And then thirdly, I think you're going to find that, like you said in the video, you're going to get customers out of this, because there's a lot of people in the St. Pete, Tampa area that are going to appreciate the way you handled that and you stood firm on your line. What has the feedback been? I know your phones have been blown up. I know your emails have been blown up. What's the feedback been from your local customers and your local community?
It has been 98% support.
Wonderful.
Which is obviously, it's been wonderful. I can't say anything negative about that, because it really has been wonderful. Our core group of customers have been screaming support. My staff, I am so beyond blessed with my team, who in the video you can see they're all there. They all came. They have my back. I have their back, and they've been incredible with this because they're being impacted. It's just unfortunate, and really I spoke to the owners obviously a lot lately, and I just want us to get back to doing what we're doing. I don't need to be famous. I don't need to be looked at as anything more or less than I am. I just want us to get back to what we do. We have a lot of fun at the club. We have live music and games, and great people come and visit us. And I just want to get back to that. And I just, that's what I was hoping to accomplish by coming on your show, because I'm hoping the message gets out that we're still who we are. I know who I am. I know who the owners are. I know who my staff is. And at the end of the day, I can lean on that comfortably and believe that it's just gonna work out the way it should.
Well, God bless you, man. I think you were doing the right thing by your customers. You handled yourself well. You have nothing to be ashamed of. And, honestly, I appreciate that you listen to your customers. You did the exact thing that the Professional Football League seems to not be able to do. And you said, hey, they want to see this show. We're going to put it up. No questions asked. And by the way, there was bars all across America that did the same exact thing. I mean, Nashville was full. We got inundated with videos from bars in Nashville and Colorado and other places that were doing the same thing. And I will just say that as somebody who's been through it, Blake can attest as well, Frankie, that somebody who's been through the internet swirl and the churn and the outrage mob, it all lasts about 5 minutes. It's like 5 minutes, man, and then they get on to the next thing. They get distracted by the next outrage. And these are all miserable people. These are people that their whole existence online is to just like throw wrenches into the gears of other people that are doing real things. And that's what it sounds like you guys are doing at the club. You're doing real things for real people. You're creating a place where they can gather. They can feel like a part of a community. And so God bless you. You did great. And, listen, we put up huge numbers on Sunday evening. Huge numbers. They're bigger than I thought. Actually, we're working with a third party firm.
I was so happy to see that.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna end up being, let's just say 50 million. Okay, let's just say it's gonna be 50 million. It might be higher, might be a little less, but it's gonna be approximately 50 million, and that's a huge deal. And so there's a lot of people that are gonna be emotionally attached to the fact that was so successful, and we see it already. Like people are trying to say we botted the feed or there wasn't enough comments. By the way, we ran the numbers, Frankie, and this is funny. We're like almost 60% TVs that we're watching this. So obviously people don't comment when they're watching on TV device, and you proved that at your club. It was not like people are going to be able to jump in the comment section at your club. But listen, I thought you did a great job. Congratulations. I think you're going to be rewarded richly and blessed from this. And remember, 5 minutes outrage and people know who you are. I think your character shined through. So God bless you, man.
God bless you guys. Thank you very much. That's really kind to say. That means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, this too shall pass, and then you get back to doing what you love. All right, thank you
again, gentlemen. Thank you again.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what the zoo. I want to say the name of his establishment again here. Hold on, the Zoo Club. Hold on, I got it. Frankie Bianco, general manager of the Zoo Sports Club there in Tampa, St. Pete. What a mensch! What a great guy! He's just salt of the earth. Those are the people that make this country great. So, God bless him. And if you are in the Tampa, St. Pete area and you're watching the show, go pay them a visit. Spend a lot of money. Buy a lot of food. Play a lot of games. Bless that company, that establishment, because they're just good Americans. That's what we love. We'll be right back.
At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now. From powerhouse vocalist Natasha Owens, known for standout singles like Trump One and Somali Waltz, comes her brand new release, The Boss, released on Real America's Music. This is the direct response to Bruce Springsteen's recent release, The Streets of Minneapolis. While Springsteen once branded himself as a voice of the working class, The Boss gives a voice to everyday Americans and reminds listeners who truly shapes the future. The Real America's Voice audience has the power to move charts and shake the industry. Download it right now. Scan the QR code or search The Boss on iTunes. Push it up the charts. Make them notice.
All right, welcome back to the Charlie Kirk Show. I want to go through some of these numbers from the Sunday show here at the Bitcoin.com studio, your one place to buy, sell, and trade Bitcoin. Please check them out. Support them. Great people over there. There's kind of conflicting data that's going back and forth. There's an article, though, out of Breitbart that I think does a really good job of breaking it down. It says almost half of Super Bowl watchers tuned out Bad Bunny. Now, this is interesting because there's also a conflicting data point that's going around that's saying 135 million people watch Bad Bunny. I'm not convinced I believe that number, but let's just assume it's true, which would be higher than what watched Kendrick Lamar last year. So they're claiming it's a success, right? So, but I actually think a lot of people, probably because of the controversy, might have watched both, or they might have gone back and watched both. Maybe they went back and watched ours. But that's the headline. It's coming from Samba TV, which is different than Nielsen. So this is what's crazy, though. This represents this is based on Samba's numbers, Samba TV. This represents a 39% decline in Bad Bunny viewers when compared to last year's halftime. Okay? So this is a quote from them. Our latest viewership insights reveal that 48.6 million U.S. households tuned in to the Super Bowl, representing a 13% decrease from last year's game. So already I'm kind of like...
Super Bowl went down.
The Super Bowl went down. Not surprising.
Chiefs, Eagles, or Seahawks, not as big a team.
Exactly. So it just didn't feel like there was as much buzz about the game. So it made sense to me there was a decrease from last year, 13% decrease. That follows intuition right there, okay? But then they're saying more people watched the halftime show, which is possible. People that aren't football fans might have just tuned in for the halftime show.
I think usually the halftime show does shed viewers relative to the game because that's when people
get food.
They might get food then. Yeah. Not everyone cares. They do the big halftime show to hold the people in.
So, but this is what's interesting. So Samba says that while 48.6 million people tuned in for the game, or households tuned in for the game, only 26.5 million U.S. households watched the halftime performance. And that's down 39% from Kendrick Lamar's show. This is per them.
So a 13% drop from last year's game, a 39% drop from last year's halftime show.
Which would follow because we know, because listen, I'm seeing the numbers on the back end and we're working with this third-party group to gather all the numbers, and some of this stuff just takes time to come in. Like, we're working with Rob and Parker at Rav. There are over 7 million confirmed views for their coverage, but they think they might get to 9 or 10 when all the numbers come in from all the, like, Amazon. You know, it takes a while for this to happen. So that would fit, right? That you would think, okay, there's this alternate halftime show, the All-American halftime show, and we know that we got real, legitimate, like, huge numbers for it. And so Nolte in Breitbart says the reason you're seeing preliminary headlines based on Nielsen ratings that look like this, 135 million tuned into the Super Bowl, is due to the difference between viewers and household. Nielsen measures viewers, and they use like an algorithm to do it. Samba TV measures households. Samba TV also gets its data directly from about 50 million smart TVs where the owners opted in to have their viewership habits measured. So this is like actually hard data here. So Samba might be, in theory, better data. Now, that doesn't mean that Samba TV is superior to Nielsen. Yeah. What's that?
I just can't believe that there's like 50 million smart TVs. But I guess that's what everyone has now.
Opt to do that.
No, but it's...
So both are respected. Nolte makes this point. Both data points are respected in the TV and advertising worlds, and the data they produce is not seen as either or choice, but as complementary. At the very least, Samba is using apples-to-apples data. What he means by this is that Samba collected its data the same way for years. So the comparison from this year's ratings to last year's has credibility as far as trends, which, in any case, no matter how you measure it, are way down.
Yeah, so it's like, it's not that whether or not it captures the whole set of viewers, if they're working with the same pool of TVs, they can at least say, of the pool of TVs we have, we can reliably detect the number of viewers went down for the Super Bowl and then even more for the halftime show. I kind of wonder how many people might have just literally changed the channel because they were wondering, did I accidentally switch to the Spanish language broadcast? Like, you know, it's always funny. There are tens of millions of people who are totally out of the loop. So like, they would have totally missed the, it's all in Spanish halftime show.
So, but I totally agree. You never know what people are doing. Like we saw that grandma clip from yesterday where she's like, get this off. She knew it was the Super Bowl. Like, it's not that she didn't, but she just couldn't understand anything and she didn't like it. And she's like, whatever. And that was the number one piece of feedback I heard. I actually went on with Chris Cuomo and Geraldo Rivera last night to talk about this. And they were, oh, what a celebration of the mosaic of America. And I was like, guys, there was millions of people who couldn't understand a darn thing, and they were not happy about it. Okay, but so just to reiterate the point, Nielsen is building this off an algorithm, an equation that they use where they put a multiplier on a sort of a survey that they do. This is using actual devices of an actual a pool of data that they measure year to year to year. Their data says there was a massive 22 million household drop off for the halftime show. And honestly, it corresponds really, really closely with the numbers that we've seen. Now, again, we don't have the final numbers. I will just say that like what I'm seeing, if I'm approximating, that 50 million viewer mark is not crazy at all. As a matter of fact, it might be a little low depending on how Nielsen and this third party group end up calculating the numbers. So what we can tell you is that this was probably the second largest live stream in YouTube history, and that's just Turning Point's channel. You had Charlie's, you had Real America's Voice YouTube, OAN's YouTube, NTD's YouTube. There was a couple other random YouTubes. You add all those together, it very well could have been the #1 live stream event in YouTube history. And that means you're beating like the whole country of India that has like what 1.6 billion people or something like that. They had a national event.
They landed on the Indian moon landing. It was the Indian moon landing. #1.
Yeah, it was #1. And then there was like some, I think #2 was like a World Cup game.
Mostly it's a lot of World Cup games that finish high. But of course, keep in mind some of those might have alternate streams just as ours did.
Sure.
I think it was a big win for us overall to be on 1 million different platforms. You get the whole
the community's coming together. Yeah, you can view it the way you want. We're still haven't got TBN. TBN was our provider, our platform that had the most TV, like traditional cable.
50 million households.
I think it's like 70 million. So. Yeah, so they had the most. So if you were kind of old school and you just wanted to switch the channel on your cable, that was the easiest option. And we still don't have those numbers. So I'm telling you, the numbers are big. And talking to some of the people in the media world, they basically describe this as a tectonic shift, that the halftime show will never be the same again. Listen, I feel bittersweet about that. I love that we have institutions in the country still that everybody tunes in for, but if you're going to disrespect such a huge swath of the country, and whether you meant to do it or not, again, no agenda here, no hate, but if you whether you meant to do it or not, they felt disrespected. They felt disregarded. They felt forgotten. And so they made a choice. And we made a choice to provide something that they could tune in for. We're going to be hearing from our students at the top of the next hour. Always great to get their perspective. We'll be back.
At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now. From powerhouse vocalist Natasha Owens, known for standout singles like Trump One and Somali Waltz, comes her brand new release, The Boss, released on Real America's Music. This is the direct response to Bruce Springsteen's recent release, The Streets of Minneapolis. While Springsteen once branded himself as a voice of the working class, The Boss gives a voice to everyday Americans and reminds listeners who truly shapes the future. The Real America's Voice audience has the power to move charts and shake the industry. Download it right now. Scan the QR code or search The Boss on iTunes. Push it up the charts. Make them notice. Now is the moment to put your brand in front of an engaged, loyal audience through Real America's Voice. When you advertise on Real America's Voice, you're not just running an ad, you're partnering with trusted voices like Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, and other influential hosts. Backed by millions of monthly listeners.
What's happening? Because of the Real Voice, man. I watch it all the time.
Real America's Voice rocks.
Real America's Voice gives sponsors the chance to put their product front and center, displayed on screen and highlighted by our anchors during exclusive segments and live events.
Head to freetrumpknife.com.
This means your brand becomes part of the conversation as it happens.
Secure your spot before it's too late.
Join us today and make your brand part of the news conversation that America's viewers trust. Real America's Voice, where your message is seen, heard, and remembered.
To this Real America's Voice news break, I'm Terrence Bates. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt set to host a press briefing at the White House. She's expected to take the podium quite literally at any moment. You can see it there, just waiting for her to show up. We'll, of course, take you there live the moment she does take the podium. In the meantime, President Trump's scheduled meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu tomorrow at the White House will likely be a key issue that will be addressed during the press briefing. The two leaders will likely discuss a path forward when it comes to Iran, as well as the ongoing ceasefire between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. Again, once today's briefing starts, we'll take you there live. Meantime, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth is traveling the country as part of his Arsenal of Freedom tour. Our David Zier has been embedded with the secretary this week as the Pentagon chief has toured ship and submarine building facilities in Maine and Rhode Island. While the administration is focused on building up U.S. lethality with top-line equipment, Hegseth tells David that there's also a spirit of renewed energy and optimism among the rank and file of the nation's military these days.
You see it in the recruiting numbers, you see it in the retention numbers. It's not just who's coming in, it's the guys that are in, that are staying in at historic rates and at high rates. Then you see it in the workforce, and that's why I'm glad you guys can come along and see this Arsenal of Freedom tour, and why our remarks are all public is because we're saying the same things out to the public that we are behind closed doors. We're all in this together. We got to move fast. We got to get the capabilities to the warfighters. And when everybody sees that spirit, everybody works a little harder, moves a little faster. So, yeah, we draw off that energy from the crowd.
A little bit of a sea change, right?
Well, I would say it's more than a sea change. Yeah. I mean, you look at the sleepy, slow nature of the Biden administration. They couldn't get people to join. They lowered the standards and lowered the goal numbers in order to get the number of recruits and still couldn't meet it. We've raised the standards and raised the goals, and we're exceeding them historically. And at these companies, they say, hey, our workforce is more motivated than we've ever seen it before. That's our goal. We can't, like I said to the crowd, we can't resource our guys and gals unless these companies are delivering, whether it's small or large, from Anduril to the big ones, these capabilities that we need so urgently.
As part of the Arsenal of Freedom tour, Secretary Hegseth is visiting defense manufacturing sites around the country. The tour is meant to highlight national security, technological strength, and revitalizing the defense industry. Well, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick getting the side eye this morning after acknowledging that he met with Jeffrey Epstein twice following Epstein's 2008 conviction for soliciting prostitution from a child. During a hearing this morning on Capitol Hill, Democrats sought to tie Lutnick to the disgraced child sex trafficker. The Commerce Secretary, on the other hand, clearing up any confusion.
Under no circumstances is there a single word that I've done anything remotely wrong in any possible regard. I did not have anything you could call a relationship, anything you could call an acquaintance. I literally met him 3 times over 14 years with widespread in between. That's all I can remember. That's all there is in the documents. I didn't look through the documents with any fear whatsoever because I know and my wife knows that I have done absolutely nothing wrong.
Meantime, Representatives Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna appear ready to name names of at least 6 people who they say are, quote, likely incriminated in the Justice Department's latest Jeffrey Epstein document dump. The names surfaced after the congressman reviewed unredacted versions of the documents. While the lawmakers are on record saying that they want to give the DOJ more time to unredact files, they are also prepared to share the names on the House floor. We'll, of course, let you know if and when that happens. Meantime, Jeffrey Epstein accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell appears to be wheeling and dealing when it comes to divulging information about the child sex trafficker. Monday, Maxwell followed through on her promise to invoke the Fifth Amendment so as to not incriminate herself during a deposition before the House Oversight Committee. Meantime, an attorney for Maxwell has reportedly told lawmakers that Maxwell is willing to testify that neither President Trump nor former President Bill Clinton are responsible for any wrongdoing in their relationship with Epstein. Maxwell is trying to have her conviction overturned, saying that she was wrongly convicted. That's a quick check of your headlines. We appreciate you being here with us. Now, let's get you back to your regularly scheduled programming.
At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now. From powerhouse vocalist Natasha Owens, known for standout singles like Trump One and Somali Waltz, comes her brand new release, The Boss, released on Real America's Music. This is the direct response to Bruce Springsteen's recent release, The Streets of Minneapolis, while Springsteen once branded himself as a voice of the working class.
All right, welcome back to the Charlie Kirk Show. Hour 2 is underway, and we do these segments from time to time because you guys love them. We get so much positive feedback about them, and I think it's really important to involve the students that are out the front lines. They're the tip of the spear on their college and high school campuses, so we want to hear from them, and I think for you in the audience, it's a really important learning opportunity to hear directly from our students. So today we have Leona Salinas from Texas State. She's the chapter president there at Texas State. Welcome, Leona. And then we have Ben Mason, Providence Academy Club America chapter president. So we got a high schooler and a college student as well. Leona and Ben, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Andrew and Blake. I really appreciate this opportunity.
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you very much for having us.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
First thing to open with, did you guys watch the All-American halftime show?
Oh, of course. And it was just a marvel to watch. I mean, I really appreciated how they made it, I'm just going to be blunt, American. I mean, this was our nation's sesquicentennial, right? 250 years of everything that has made America great and free. And the fact that some people had issue with that, I think is just outrageous.
Well, and I loved how they made, sorry.
Go ahead, Ben.
I loved how they made it just have American values and just spread of Christianity through with Robert Ritchie and what he said about just in the Till You Can't, I think is the song, or Till I Can't, and just how they made the song about like God and of how like chasing him and Christ, and as a Christian country, that's what we should pursue, not what the normal halftime show was going like.
Yeah, well, and I love that part that you're talking about. It's like Till You Can't is the clip. I want to so this is the clip 222. Get it ready. So it was a hit song that he's actually doing a cover of, and then God woke him up in the middle of the night and said, "There's one more verse that needs to be written for this song." 222.
There's a book that's sitting in your house somewhere that could use some dusting off. There's a man who died for all our sins, hanging from the cross. You can give your life to Jesus, and He'll give you a second chance till you can't.
A really beautiful moment there. Absolutely. So did you hear your friends talking about it, or is this just because you guys were connected to Turning Point that you heard about it?
I mean, I couldn't turn to a place, whether on social media or in person, where someone wasn't talking about it. This seems to be taking over our nation right now, and I feel like as it should be, because these are conversations that we should be having. And essentially, in comparison to Bad Bunnies, I think the representation and the symbolism that we carried in our halftime show and our All-American halftime show were absolutely everything that represents the NFL's key demographic, and the fact that it was just the biggest day in American sports.
Yeah, people don't realize this. It's actually the biggest social media day as well.
Oh, I mean, that's not surprising at all.
We heard that from our reps at YouTube and at X. And so it's like, I mean, it's just a ton of people.
It'd have to be that or an election. Just everyone has to react to every clip of this or that.
Well,
even on a very boring game like that one.
It was a terrible game. Terrible game. Can't be said enough. Can't be said enough. What about you, Ben? Did you hear people talking about it? Did we cut through the zeitgeist?
Yeah. Yes, they did. They loved it. They loved watching the American side of the halftime show more than the Bad Bunny. Whenever we heard about Bad Bunny going on, we were just like, hey, why is this guy going on here when he doesn't even speak English? He's promoting Puerto Rico and just wanting that culture a lot more, and says that he won't have English in his music, which is crazy. And it was just super shocking for most students at my school. And because of that, they were just so excited to have where they can incorporate American values into the song through having Turning Point USA make their own, and something where it's not, because we can see in the NFL that they're just like, they become so woke. If we look back into Black Lives Matter and putting all the George Floyd signs on their back of their helmet, and just the woke ideology just keeps perpetuating through having Bad Bunny on there, and just having just bad kind of music where they want people to listen and just want to just instill them with this thing that's just not good for us as citizens and people who love America. And it was just great, I think, for everybody at Providence Academy, at my school, and from other schools that I've heard of, that they just love to hear just the American value side, and having just Christian, Judeo-Christian values, those kind of things incorporated into that too.
So Ben, Providence Academy, are you in Minnesota? Is that the one in Plymouth? Or is
No. We're actually located in Tennessee, Johnson City.
Oh, already. Well, it's a good name for a school.
Yeah.
But regardless, I want to ask both of you. Charlie very much wanted to be in touch with what youth are talking about, what they think about things. So each of you in turn, maybe Ben first, just when it comes to political issues, what is resonating with people at your school? How are they reacting to what's been in the news, maybe with ICE, with affordability issues, with AI, any of that stuff? What are they talking about as we go into this midterm year? And you can be honest if some of them are disappointed in the president or whatever. We want to know that.
Yeah, so as we're going the midterms, the conservatives on my school and how they're feeling with the main issues would be just the immigration enforcement. It needs to be bipartisan. It has to be a bipartisan issue because there's just so much polarization between the Democrats and the Republicans, and the Democrats don't want the bill and don't want to have the 8 U.S. Code 1325. They don't want to kick out the people that are illegally here, and we need that to happen because of all the horrible things that come from having illegals here, and they're coming here illegally, they're committing crimes, and Democrats need to start getting on the boat with that and wanting that too. Because if they don't, in the next 4 years, or next 2 years, actually, we're going to see in 2028, if the Democrats win the election, they're going to completely change that. And it's going to be a place where we're going to have illegals coming back into the country, like we've seen in Biden's term, where there was about 10 million illegals that came across the border. And we need that to change. And we need people like Tim Walz and Jacob Frey, who are attempting to subvert the will of the people. We need them to stop spreading their false rhetoric and just commenting on the ICE and saying that they're like the Gestapo and they're people who are trying to hurt the American citizen by quoting the killing of Renee Good and Alex Pritty and saying that's just like a horrible issue and that's like the fault of the ICE agents as well.
What about you, Leona? What are the top issues that you're hearing about or that you're feeling personally?
So a couple of days ago, I was watching Fox News, and they recently did a poll that said all of Americans, their biggest concern, well, at least 46% of Americans are concerned mostly about the cost of living. Who isn't right now? I mean, trying to recover from, Bidenomics and such. But I think the issue is specifically that Republicans, I think we have an issue with voter complacency. Right. And the reason why is because the Democrats do nothing but fearmonger. Right. Every time they go to the ballot box, it's always, hey, it's life or death. Trump's either going to try and kill you or deport everybody who's a citizen. Right. Since things have been going a little bit better for Republicans and Trump isn't on the ballot, I'm afraid that we might not be as inclined to go vote. And I think that's very intimidating because right now all I see is the Democrats are trying to impeach Trump. And I think that's a real possibility that we need to be looking out for, because if we don't take action soon, we could lose everything.
Leona, do you feel that that complacency has taken hold? Like, do you see that with conservatives on your own campus? Like, is that a real concern? Is the fire flagging compared to last year?
Absolutely. I'm not saying that the spirit isn't there, but when it comes down to actually going and voting, we just kind of have an issue with thinking everything is going to be okay because eggs are down 89% since Trump took office and gas is down $1 since last year. And so we actually see these positive effects coming out from the Trump administration. So we become comfortable in that and we think we need to stop moving. But the Democrats, because they are fearmongered by everything, they never stop moving. So I think we need to enhance that. And my biggest personal concern, I would say, is voter fraud. The Democrats want to talk about how corrupt we are.
Hold that thought, Leona. Hold that thought. We'll be right back. Let's take a quick break.
At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now. powerhouse vocalist Natasha Owens, known for standout singles like Trump One and Somali Waltz, comes her brand new release, The Boss, released on Real America's Music. This is the direct response to Bruce Springsteen's recent release, The Streets of Minneapolis. While Springsteen once branded himself as a voice of the working class, The Boss gives a voice to everyday Americans and reminds listeners who truly shapes the future. The Real America's Voice audience has the power to move charts and shake the industry. Download it right now. Scan the QR code or search The Boss on iTunes. Push it up the charts. Make them notice.
Hello, this is Kurt. Why do I love Rav? If you ever talk to the hosts, you can do that on Rav. And the Rav family, they'll talk back to you too. Let you know what's going on. Take care.
My name is Dee Dee, and I live in Florida. I love Real America's Voice. They truly speak for the people, and that's what real patriotism is all about.
Hi, this is Becky from the Florida Panhandle, and I love watching Real America's Voice for the programming, the hosts, and my Rad Chat family.
Back to the Charlie Kirk Show. We are joined by Leona and Ben. I want to wrap this up with you guys. Make sure you get a chance to get your viewpoints in. Leona, you were saying you're worried about voter fraud. Have you been paying attention to what's going on in Fulton County, Georgia?
I'm vaguely familiar, but I don't know the in-depth details of it.
Fair enough. But being in Texas, this is still something that you're concerned about. Is this what other students are talking about in your chapter?
I try and bring it up to the chapter. I'm going to be completely honest, being so close to Austin, we have a myriad of issues, specifically with viewpoint discrimination. We have so many things we have to deal with, but especially with these, upcoming midterms, voter fraud is something that is pressing on all of our minds, incredibly so.
Got it. Are you guys worried about AI, H-1Bs? You're thinking about going into the workforce? Is that something kids are talking about?
Not as much. We're usually more concerned on things that really, I know they do affect us. Everything that's going on right now is affecting us, but we're more concerned on things that directly affect us that we can kind of fix ourselves.
Okay. Like what?
Like I was saying, viewpoint discrimination, right? Yeah, so we have a lot of administration and as well as professors who try and push back on us in terms of when we're trying to get speakers, when we're trying to even table or just have a conversation with professors. They don't want to engage with us. And not only that, but then they do want to shut us down, and they let socialist organizations run amok and do whatever they want and cause quite literally anarchy on campus.
In the great state of Texas, San Marcos, right? Isn't that where you guys are at? Yep.
I call it Austin by extension.
Yeah, exactly. The greater Austin area. What about you, Ben? What are what are you hearing, the chatter from the students? Not necessarily conservative ones. What are you hearing on campus when kids are talking about political things or cultural things?
Well, I would say the thing that I'm hearing a lot from students is about the news outlets and how, like the woke ones especially, how they go and they try to spread a lot of propaganda and tell this false narrative about just what's happening in society, going back to ICE and just like telling stories that aren't true or half true or something that's like completely made up. And
does it succeed? Like, is that unfortunately, like, is it getting in people? Like, do you hear people say I saw this thing about ICE on TV. They're killing people. Like,
exactly.
Do people repeat that? Yeah.
Yes. Where are they getting their news, Ben? Is it mostly TikTok or where do they get news?
Yeah, TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat even has their own like thing that you can go through and you can just find the news and just like there's some people on the way radical left who just explain the news like, no, that's not true. It's just their way of putting their own thoughts into it and
Leona,
putting their own propaganda.
Leona, are you feeling the same? Is that most people are getting their news from social media, TikTok, Instagram?
Oh, absolutely. Usually it's so hard to even have a conversation with somebody when they don't even understand what's going on. I mean, a lot of people get their social media, their news, not just from social media, but it's very watered down because someone gets it from a TikTok reel and then says it to another person, and it gets completely diluted. That and Dean Withers, unfortunately.
Oh, geez. Well, just remember, employ Charlie's method when you're having these conversations. Ask questions, drill down on kind of their core assumptions. And once they reveal themselves, then you can sort of dismantle that core assumption. So ask a lot of questions. Where did you get that? Who told you that? What was their source? That kind of thing. And then you'll get to the root of the issue most often. Leona and Ben, thank you guys so much for making the time and joining the Charlie Kirk Show. It's so important to hear from you directly from the source, the students out in the field. You are brave. You are the front lines, tip of the spear, and we salute you. Thank you for your courage.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. And could I add one more thing actually about what she was saying earlier about voter ID?
Yeah.
So going with voter ID, the thing that was passing in the House was the SAVE Act, and already passed in there, and now hopefully is going to pass in the Senate. And it's pretty funny, actually, because this is one of the issues that I'm facing at schools, people talking about just voter integrity, like you were saying, Leona, and just that we need voter ID and all that. And that's coming from the SAVE Act, hopefully in the coming few months. And it was pretty funny from this one guy who said, Chuck Schumer, exactly, and he conflated the SAVE Act to be the same thing as the Jim Crow laws, and he says Jim Crow 2.0. And to me, there's no rational way to speak like that unless you're making it seem as if Black people are less intelligent and that they can't think clearly enough to get their citizenship proof for the voter ID and just their voting process in the election. And it was also that CNN came out and said that 86% of Blacks and 82 or 83% of Latinos want the voter ID to pass, and then that our election process is fair and there's no questioning for there to be fraud or anything like that. So I'm excited about that. Hopefully that will pass in the Senate.
We've been following it closely. So stay tuned on the Charlie Kirk Show because we're bringing in, I think there's a vote that's going to happen tomorrow, and then we're going to have Chip Roy on Thursday to talk more about it. So stay tuned with that. Thank you guys again. God bless you. Stay safe, stay courageous, stay bold, stay firm. We got your back.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. So I want to bring some breaking news here, guys. There has been new images released by Kash Patel, 341, 342, of the suspect in the Nancy Guthrie kidnapping case, 341, 342. Put those up, please. This guy is fully masked, gloves on his hand, removing the Ring doorbell, and we've got videos now. Yeah, this is very creepy. So this looks like somebody that knew exactly what they intended to do, knew exactly what they were going to do, and this is the video now. They have retrieved this from remnant data that they collected from the Ring doorbell that was actually removed. So they're obviously using pretty technical data specialists to retrieve this video. In the middle of the night, this guy came up, methodically removes the Ring doorbell. Really, really creepy stuff. I mean, this is... they were describing it as a needle in the haystack kind of situation. So we gotta pray that they figure this out and they find this person, because this guy's completely masked. No fingerprints, no nothing.
Yeah, he clearly knew exactly what he was going for, but we can hope. The FBI
releasing
footage from Utah Valley is what ultimately led to Tyler Robinson being turned in. So hopefully something very similar here.
So there's another video here that the team has. It's weird that they knew where the camera was. Go ahead and play this. 348. Take this to break. All right, it's not loaded just yet because it's all coming in breaking. Once you get it, just throw it up. And we're gonna write it to break. Go ahead and write it to break. Thank you, guys.
What stands out to me, too, is that remember how much we've talked about that area and how dark it is, and that you can barely see what's in front of your own eyes. And I know it was a full moon, but he's under the portico there where it's probably very dark. He has no trouble identifying that there's a camera there. It's almost as if he knows there's a camera there, because it does appear as though he's trying to block the camera's vision of his face. This, to me, I think you can easily kind of draw some conclusions here. It might be reasonable to say that was familiar with that area, was familiar with the camera's location, and came prepared.
Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access, plus commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play. Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with your Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Did you ever wonder what truly happened in the COVID-19 pandemic and whether Anthony Fauci would ever be held accountable? I think we all have. Filmmaker Jenner First has an upcoming documentary that searches for truth, transparency, and accountability called Thank You, Dr. Fauci.
Governments lie.
Anthony Fauci put everyone on the planet at risk without their consent.
It's beyond suspicious.
Research caused a pandemic, killed 20 million, and cost $25 trillion. Fauci would prefer a lie.
Public trust, national health, and global security are at stake as this documentary digs through thousands of pages of documents and interviews with former officials and whistleblowers in the most controversial narrative of our time that may also be one of the largest cover-ups in modern public health history.
Here was the cover.
Why would he trade the Chinese the most advanced biotechnology in the world?
He's a spy.
It's insane.
I don't think this is going to be foolproof. Things are going to slip through.
Fauci knew and lied repeatedly.
Rather than being a partisan hit piece, Thank You, Dr. Fauci is an honest look at the origins of COVID-19 and a potential bioarms race with China. It streams exclusively on Angel Studios app and site starting on October 23rd. And all you need to do is go to angel.com/RAV to stream it. So be ready to watch, question, and share as the quest for truth and accountability continues.
I'm Patriot Mermaid, and I'm from West Haven, Connecticut. When the mainstream media wasn't giving us the truth, I went and looked for the truth and found.
Welcome back to this Real America's Voice news break. I'm Terrence Bates. We are preparing for the latest White House press briefing. It's set to get underway at any moment. We will take you there live. Here's a live look at the room as we wait for Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt to make her way in and address the media. Again, live coverage here on Real America's Voice as soon as that happens. In the meantime, there is new information in the investigation into the abduction of 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie. She, of course, is the mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie. The FBI is out with brand new photos this morning of the alleged kidnappers. You can see them here. FBI Director Kash Patel posting on social media saying that the pictures show an armed person appearing to tamper with the camera at Nancy Guthrie's front door. The images were previously unavailable to law enforcement because the alleged abductors removed the recording devices from the home. However, local investigators and the FBI were able to recover some of the data from those cameras, and they are working to find even more images. Anyone with information is asked to please call 800-CALL-FBI. That's 1-800-CALL-FBI. You can also visit tips.fbi.gov. The White House likely bracing for an avalanche of questions about the Jeffrey Epstein case. This, as Representatives Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna appear ready to name names of at least 6 people who they say are, quote, likely incriminated in the Justice Department's latest Jeffrey Epstein document dump. The names surfaced after the congressman reviewed unredacted versions of those documents. While the lawmakers are on record saying that they want to give the DOJ even more time to unredact more files, they're also prepared to share the names on the House floor. If they in fact move forward with outing the potential suspects whose names are in those documents, they'd be protected under the House's speech and debate clause, which provides lawmakers immunity from civil or criminal liability. Meantime, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick getting the side eye this morning after acknowledging that he met with Jeffrey Epstein twice following Epstein's 2008 conviction for soliciting prostitution from a child. However, Lutnick says there was nothing improper in those meetings. That's a quick check of your headlines.
You're listening to the sound of freedom. It's the Charlie Kirk Show.
All right, guys, welcome back. It is America 250, one of the reasons we did our All-American halftime show. And everything is about America this year. It's a great year to put America and Americans first in everything that you do and the products that you buy. Good Ranchers is a perfect place to park some of your dollars, support an all-American business. Good Ranchers ships boxes of meat directly to your door. All American meat. So they are supporting the ranchers that have battled through recessions, pandemics, changing market conditions, changing politics. They never stopped. They kept raising the beef and the chicken and the pork that you eat every single day. So if you want to support American-made meat and you want to, even the seal on the box, the call center when you have a customer service issue, that is all Good Ranchers does. All American-made. Everything from top to bottom. So as we head into this year to celebrate how amazing this country is, the heritage, the people who shaped it, Good Ranchers is standing right at the heart of that story. So be a part of what they're doing. I'm a Good Ranchers subscriber, so you can take it from me. I love their products. They send me a box every month, and they give me the chicken nuggets, which I just love. Seed oil-free chicken nuggets. I was actually the one who told Charlie, I was like, you need to start giving these to your kids. And they're amazing. They taste great. Seed oil-free. So go subscribe. If you subscribe, you will save up to $500 a year. $500 a year just by subscribing. So you're going to make massive savings there. Plus, if you use the promo code Charlie, you'll get an additional $25 off your first order. That's Charlie for an extra $25 off your first order on top of the $500 that you're going to save just by becoming a subscriber, because they give you better deals if you subscribe. So go to goodranchers.com, American Meat Delivered. Blake, take us away.
All righty. Our next guest here, we have Aaron Sibarium. He's an investigative reporter with the Washington Free Beacon. You might remember he was a guest in this studio, met with Charlie last August. Mm-hmm. And we've been following his work with great interest. He's done a lot of great work on sort of the DEI stuff that's been out there. He exposed a lot of racial discrimination and COVID stuff. And he's a little off-brand from some of his prior stuff, but it's very interesting. I think it's worth keeping a good focus on the practical ramifications of far-left governance. And this is a great example of it. Aaron, are you there?
I am.
Howdy, Aaron. Welcome back to the show. I think I'll just let you kind of narrate this story here. But basically, we've got a story in Mayor, the nation's capital, where they allowed a homeless encampment to spread so much, and rather than shut down the homeless encampment, they are shutting down the actual homes next to it because they have destroyed it. Can you tell that story to us?
Absolutely. So the story begins 2 to 3 years ago when this homeless encampment first started to coalesce behind the Marylander condominiums in Prince George's County, Maryland. Basically, over time, the encampment evolves from a few tents into something more like a shanty town / open air drug market. Drug dealers are dropping off packages of crack and fentanyl to the encampment in broad daylight. There's MS-13 activity in the area. There's tons of crime. And soon enough, people from the encampment start to break into the condominium and defecate in the stairwells, do drugs in the hallways, cause all sorts of problems. And eventually, they allegedly appear to have broken the heating system, which meant that half of the building was left without heat for the entirety of winter, including now when it's, like sub-freezing temperatures in Washington, D.C. As a result of this, the county, which had allowed the encampment to fester for years and refused to arrest the people who were constantly trespassing on this condo's property, the county decides to evict not people from the encampment, but to evict residents of this condominium, saying that the lack of heat has rendered it unfit for human habitation, or rather it rendered half of it, the half without heat, unfit for human habitation. And so as a result, in the next couple weeks, hundreds of low-income, predominantly non-white families are likely to be forcibly evicted from their homes, all because of this massive homelessness and really criminal and drug problem that a blue county allowed to fester. And I should note here that I think it was 86% of Prince George's County voted for Kamala Harris in 2024.
Which is the reddest it's been in 20 years. Yeah,
it is the most Democratic county in the country. Technically, Washington, D.C., which is not a county, has a higher Democratic vote share.
Exactly. And so you're saying they're doing drugs out in the open, they're getting drug deliveries out in the open, there's gang members. And what was the statement of local police? I assume this had to be brought to their attention. Did they say anything about this camp?
Yeah, so there's a video I have in my story where the property manager is basically asking a police officer to arrest a homeless woman who's trespassing in the parking lot. And he says, well, there's so many of them, and they're just kind of constantly coming through this hole in the fence that they created, going back and forth, that there's just really too many of them for us to arrest. And in the same breath, he acknowledges that if he just tells her to leave, gives her a warning, she's going to come right back. So they know that just giving them warnings isn't sufficient. There's one case I talk about in my story where the police come, give someone a warning, and then 90 minutes later, they're back in the same stairwell smoking crack. So not arresting them doesn't solve the problem. It's not enough to just temporarily kick them out, right?
Yeah, and it looks like we have a video.
Yep.
It looks like we also have a video where they almost seem to be like blaming the locals for this problem existing because they do the do-gooder thing and give some food to them. Let's play this clip, 265.
We do have information from some of our officers that have been doing surveillance that more than one of your residents have actually been coming out of their condo and delivering food to the unhoused population. We have more than one verified sighting of that. So as we know, if we're going to have residents enabling this behavior, this unfortunately complicates and adds an additional burden. They should not be delivering food to the unhoused population. That's only going to incentivize the unhoused population to return and ask for more.
Oh I am losing my mind here.
By the way, when you're talking, Aaron, just to watch Blake's facial expressions as you're describing the incidents, it is a show unto itself.
It's just unreal. And that's literally their justification, that someone felt, maybe moved by Christian impulse or humanitarian impulse,
probably Christian impulse,
maybe to give food to this person. And it's the job of the police to say, okay, but this is an illegal encampment. We can't allow this to spiral out of control. And that's their argument.
Well,
it gets even worse. So you lose your home. Tell us.
Well, it gets even worse because at the same time that the police were telling residents of the condo, don't feed the unhoused population, the county itself for years has been delivering food to this very encampment through a street outreach program organized by the Department of Social Services. And furthermore, the police department itself also organized an outreach program sponsored by Wegmans grocery store that delivered food, it sounds like at some point, at least in 2023, there's a video we have in the story where the police officer who's describing this says, yeah, we did this for a while. We were trying to build trust and get people connected with shelters and services. We stopped because this is his words, the severe drug addicts just didn't want to get off the street because they liked their spot behind the condo where drug dealers would just drive through the parking lot and deliver them drugs, right? They didn't have to deal with the rules and regulations of homeless shelters. And this police officer is quoted on video as saying that to get them off the streets, you literally would have to put them in handcuffs, right? So the county knows that this doesn't really work to get people out of there. It's a good impulse. It's well-intentioned, but it doesn't work by their own admission. And yet they kept doing it for years as they were
I'm waiting for the reveal. I'm waiting for the reveal that like the crack is also supplied. Like the government has a crack lab and they're manufacturing that.
MK Ultra.
And like the tents are all going to be DHS issue or something.
Well, so this might feel to the audience as like a very niche story. It might feel, but I think it's really important, and here's why. This is so indicative of left-wing, far-left governance. We're not talking like Mayor Daley in Chicago that was a Democrat, but the city ran and the trains ran on time. No, that's not what we're talking. We're not talking about that. This is a pathology of a certain ideology when it comes to, you see this in New York, you see this in San Francisco, you see this in LA. I saw it when I lived in LA. These cities become completely ungovernable because they refuse to enforce basic law and order. Basic order does not exist.
There's a related story that I saw. BART in San Francisco, they just installed new gates that you can't jump, turnstiles, so that you can't jump them. And they were showing like the maintenance and fix-its that they had to do. And it's literally fallen by over 90% or completely stopped. Like they went from, we needed 80 visits to fix stuff at this one station, and it's down to 2 or 1 or 0 because they just got rid of, by making sure you couldn't break into the BART, you got rid of all the people who just go and randomly destroy things.
I bet it's a lot safer then.
Yes.
Actually. Well, and that's an example of a city that's very far left doing something smart.
And so, we wanted to have Aaron on about this, both to highlight his work and just, I think it is a perfect symbol. Like, this could be your city if you give in. This is
Terrence Bates here with your Real America's Voice news break. Let's go right to the White House, where White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt is taking the podium right now.
On just this heartbreaking situation with respect to her mother. The president encourages any American across the country with any knowledge of the suspect to please call the FBI, who continue to assist state and local authorities who are leading this investigation on the ground. And once again, I will reiterate that the prayers of this entire White House are with Savannah and her family at this time. And we hope this person is found soon and that her mother is brought home safely. President Trump has a very busy week ahead, so I will begin with some scheduling announcements today. Tomorrow here at the White House, the president will host Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for a bilateral meeting. The remainder of the week will be focused on energy and deregulation. Tomorrow afternoon, the president will hold an event in the East Room to tout clean, beautiful coal as America's most reliable and affordable energy source, especially during periods of peak demand, just as we saw during this most recent winter storm, which impacted hundreds of millions of Americans. The president will discuss how clean, beautiful coal is not only keeping the lights on in our country, but also driving down the cost of electricity across the country as well. Additionally, on Thursday, President Trump will be joined by Administrator Lee Zeldin to formalize the rescission of the 2009 Obama-era endangerment finding. This will be the largest deregulatory action in American history, and it will save the American people $1.3 trillion in crushing regulations. The bulk of the savings will stem from reduced costs for new vehicles, with the EPA projecting average per vehicle savings of more than $2,400 for popular light-duty cars, SUVs, and trucks. This is just one more way this administration is working to make life more affordable for everyday everyday Americans. Overall, these groundbreaking actions from President Trump will drive larger economic growth, create thousands of good-paying jobs, expand manufacturing, increase consumer choice, and improve affordability for millions of families and businesses. Finally, on Friday, President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump will travel to Fort Bragg in the great state of North Carolina to meet with military families and the heroic members of our special forces who carried out the successful Operation Absolute Resolve in Venezuela and helped bring narco-terrorist Nicolas Maduro to justice. I know the President and First Lady are both greatly looking forward to this visit. Also, the First Lady will celebrate Valentine's Day at the Children's Inn at the National Institute of Health tomorrow, with children, families, and NIH staff involved in clinical trials. In other news this week, thanks to President Trump signing the largest middle-class tax cut in history, this is shaping up to be the biggest tax refund season ever, and we are in it now. President Trump and Republicans fundamentally believe that Americans deserve to keep more of their hard-earned money, not less, which is why he fought so hard to deliver this long-overdue relief. From no tax on tips, overtime, or Social Security, to auto loan interest deductions on new American-made vehicles, plus increases to the standard deduction and child tax credit, more money is flowing back into the pockets of hardworking Americans. We're already hearing from everyday Americans across the country who are reporting substantial tax savings thanks to the Working Families Tax Cut, which every single Democrat in Congress voted against. AMAC, which represents millions of Americans, has heard directly from more than their 1,000 members already about how the Trump tax cuts are easing cost of living concerns. I wanted to share a few of those powerful responses with you today. This one comes from Dean and Wendy in Wisconsin, who says, quote, instead of paying out $3,700 last year, we got back $2,500 in refunds this year. This is huge for our family. Steve from California said, quote, the new senior citizen deduction is a tremendous relief and has given us peace of mind and the freedom to truly enjoy the retirement years we worked so hard for. Eric from Nevada said, as a senior, no tax on Social Security helps me tremendously. The no tax on tips helps my daughter-in-law as a waitress. The no tax on overtime helps my son, who works constantly. Our family savings from the One Big Beautiful Bill could total even more than $5,000. We love the Trump tax cuts. These are just a few positive examples of the everyday Americans that President Trump's tax cuts are uplifting. We'd love to hear more from the American people across the country who are benefiting from the Working Families tax cuts. The White House is also pleased to share that parents across the country can now officially apply to open a Trump account for their child. In order to apply, parents can visit trumpaccounts.gov and fill out the IRS form 4547. These Trump accounts are special investment accounts aimed at providing American children with a jump start on building wealth for life. They have all the tax advantages as a traditional IRA account, but are specifically tailored to build wealth the moment a child is born. Thanks to President Trump, every child born between January 1st, 2025 and December 31st, 2028 is eligible to receive $1,000 from the U.S. Treasury to fund their account. Parents, guardians, and even nonprofits can then contribute up to $5,000 per year. Employers can also contribute up to $2,500 per year per employee. President Trump believes there is no better investment than investing in our nation's children. If you are a parent who maximizes contributions to your child's Trump account, its projected value could reach nearly $1.1 million by the time your child turns 28 years old, based on average historical stock market returns. Safe to say the Trump accounts will give a substantial head start to position the next generation for a brighter future. And with the stock market exploding under President Trump's pro-growth policies, there has never been a better time to sign up for an investment account like this. The Dow Jones just shattered 50,000 for the first time ever on Friday, and the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ continue smashing record after record. So with President Trump in charge, Americans' 401ks and retirement savings are booming once again, and these new Trump accounts for America's kids will boom too. So with that, once again, every parent should go to trumpaccounts.gov of today, and I'm going to put it on my own personal to-do list to sign up for one as well. With that, I will take your questions. Caroline Downey from the National Review is here. Thank you for being here, and why don't you kick us off?
Thank you for having me. On the criticism that immigration enforcement has become arbitrary or not particularly prioritizing, Democrats have been circulating this statistic that only 14% of illegal aliens arrested under this administration are violent criminals, but we know that in deep blue cities with progressive district attorneys, it's common to plead down serious violent crimes into less serious offenses, which could be distorting those numbers. So given that backdrop, does the administration still stand by the messaging that you're targeting the worst of the worst, and does this prevailing narrative tell the whole story?
Well, thank you for bringing this up, Caroline. I've seen this CBS report floating around. There's a lot of liberal talking heads and pundits and Democrat-elected politicians who think that this single story and these statistics and the way they are painted is somehow a shot at this administration. It is not, and let me correct the record. Number one, the Trump administration has been clear from day one that any illegal alien present in this country is subject to deportation. However, the priority, of course, is going after the convicted criminals, the worst of the worst, the murderers, the pedophiles, the rapists in this country. Interestingly, in the CBS story, what the Democrat talking heads on television are not saying is this line. Nearly 60% of ICE arrestees over the past year had criminal charges or convictions. And among that population, the majority of the criminal charges or convictions are for nonviolent crimes. Oh, well, what are nonviolent crimes, you ask? This has coincided with what DHS has been saying all along, that approximately 70% of illegal aliens arrested under President Trump have pending criminal charges and or prior convictions. And these so-called nonviolent crimes, drug trafficking, distribution of child porn, burglary, fraud, DUI, embezzlement, solicitation of a minor, and human smuggling, just to name a few. So just because a crime is not violent in nature doesn't mean that crime is victimless. And I can guarantee every single person who is out there on television right now pointing to these statistics that were taken out of context by CBS News would not want an illegal alien convicted of the distribution of child porn or fraud or DUI living in your community. So the Trump administration will continue our focus on deporting all illegal aliens present in our country with a focus on the worst of the worst criminals. Thank you for being here. Gabe.
Caroline, thank you. And thank you for the update on our colleague Savannah Guthrie's mother. Is there anything more you can share? You said the president was reviewing that surveillance footage. What was his initial reaction when seeing those disturbing images? And does he believe that that suspect acted alone?
I haven't talked to him specifically about the second point on whether the suspect acted alone or not, so I don't want to weigh in on the president's thinking on that. His initial reaction, of course, as all Americans, is just pure disgust. And again, it's heartbreaking to see now this footage really bring to life a story we've all been reading about. And again, we're just praying for the safety of Nancy Guthrie and that she will return home soon. And the president directed me to please encourage all Americans with any information to call the FBI, and we hope that this case will come to a positive resolution as soon as possible.
We, of course, have a lot to talk about in a completely separate topic. I was hoping you can clarify something that's come up over the last several days, again, regarding a separate topic, the Epstein files. According to newly released files, the president had a conversation with the Palm Beach police chief in the early 2000s, according to the police chief in 2019. The president has gone on record before, and he's told reporters that he said that he had no idea about Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. During this conversation with the police chief, however, he did say, according to this recounting of it, that thank goodness you're stopping him. He also called Ghislaine Maxwell evil. So my two questions are, did that conversation with Palm Beach police chief happen? And can you explain the discrepancy?
What I will say is that the president has always remained consistent and that he kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of his club at Mar-a-Lago because, frankly, Jeffrey Epstein was a creep. And unlike many other people who are named in these files, President Trump cut off his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and was honest and transparent about that for years and years. And so I think what the president has said all along has always remained true. And the release of more than 3 million documents related to Jeffrey Epstein and his heinous, disgusting crimes just shows the level of transparency that this president and administration has committed to in bringing these files to light.
But did he call the chief in 2006? Caroline, did he call the chief?
Look, it was a phone call that may or may not have happened in 2006. I don't know the answer to that question. What I'm telling you is that what President Trump has always said is that he kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of his Mar-a-Lago club because Jeffrey Epstein was a creep, and that remains true. And this call, if it did happen, corroborates exactly what President Trump has said from the beginning. And I'm sure many of you, when you read that alleged FBI report, probably thought to yourself, wow, this really cracks our narrative that we've been trying to push about this president for many years. So we're moving on from that. Reagan.
Thanks, Caroline. I want to ask you about the SAVE Act. NBC reported that there's some hesitation among House Republicans on adding absentee ballot restrictions into the SAVE Act. Can you explain what the hesitation is among House Republicans and also just provide a status of negotiations with Congress on the legislation?
Sure. I can't speak for House Republicans, Reagan. I can obviously speak for the president, who is quite possibly the strongest supporter of the Save America Act, which, as you know, would require proof of citizenship to register to vote. It would require proof of identification, a photo identification before casting a ballot, and it would also ensure that there are exceptions made. I think that's what you're alluding to with these conversations with House Republicans for reasonable requests, of course, for our military, for individuals who are disabled and cannot make it to the polls. Those are reasonable, common sense things that I believe House Republicans are discussing amongst themselves. But as for the president, he's been very clear. He wants House Republicans and Democrats, too, if they were politically wise, to pass this legislation, for the Senate to pass it, to send it to the president's desk so it can be signed into law.
Follow-up. I'm wondering when the last time the president spoke to Leader Thune was, and if he discussed using the standing filibuster to pass legislation.
The president has given his position on the standing filibuster. As for his most recent conversation with Leader Thune, frankly, I'm not sure. I do know they speak very frequently. The president's in constant communication with both Leader Thune and the House Speaker, Mike Johnson. Stephen, I see we switched up our seating chart. Your direct line of sight now. Congratulations.
Well, thank you to the Correspondents Association for recognizing the New York Post's reach. I've got two questions for you, one about the Guthrie case and then another about infrastructure. On the Guthrie case, does President Trump have a warning to the culprits here about what would happen to them, what federal consequences they would face if they do not release Nancy Guthrie unharmed?
I think anyone who was involved in this depraved crime, this abduction, of course, we want to be seen held to the fullest extent of the law possible.
And on infrastructure, can you explain why President Trump asked Chuck Schumer to help him rename Penn Station and Dulles Airport after himself? Why is he interested in having his name on those two buildings?